Thank you, Stephen. And thank you to Alzheimer Europe and Charles in particular for inviting me to come back to Malta. It's always nice to come back. I'm going to take us through kind of a bit of a personal journey of where I think dementia's travelled since I've joined the field in the last 15 years. So I want to talk a little bit about the personal journeys and how I feel we need to move forward to a more dementia-friendly society. The title of this conference really excites me because it's about how we actually get to a dementia-friendly society. And I want to just chart, I guess, some of the things that I think are good that we've been doing in the UK, and there's parallels across the world in terms of moving to more dementia-friendly, whatever we might mean by dementia-friendly. And how that might pan out in terms of what a dementia-friendly society really is. Okay, so dementia-friendly societies, I think we can start off by saying that there's been a real shift. There's definitely been a positive shift that we've started to think about the individual and person-centred care, and we hear people talking about that a lot. We hear people talking about person-centred care, but really are we all walking the walk with person-centred care? And I just want to have a little bit of music just to start with, so you'll get to hear it again now.
We had joy, we had fun, we had seasons in the sun, but the hills that we climbed were just seasons out of time.
Now, I've picked that on purpose because I think person-centred care is often focusing on the person that was. And so a really great contribution of Kit Wood and other people who've advocated person-centred care have highlighted the importance of looking at life history work, of looking at the things that the person used to do, the things that the person used to enjoy. And I guess the challenge is it's not about we had fun, we had joy, it's about what we can do now in terms of what the person with dementia can do now. And that might not be the things that they liked to do in the past. It might be something different. It might be that there's new things people want to try. And I guess we've heard some really quite inspirational presentations over the last couple of days where people have introduced new experiences to people with dementia that aren't what they used to do in the past, but it's things that they enjoy doing now. And I think that's a bit of a new take on what person-centred care could be. It's not just what the person was, it's what the person is now, and the new opportunities that we can make available for people. If we look at popular fiction too, this is one of the best fiction books I've read recently that features people with dementia. It's about an academic who's called Alice, who ends up getting dementia. And it's quite a challenging portrayal of what dementia means to somebody who is an academic, who knows about dementia, who has experienced that in her professional life. It's fiction, but it's a very, very good account of how the family evolve and start to think about what dementia is. And I'm not going to ruin the ending, but it's quite interesting, the ending, in terms of the positives and the not so positive things that end up happening to this person who, in theory, knew what she could achieve and knew how to work the system, I guess. So then we get to dementia-friendly communities, and in the UK in particular, this has been a very popular term, talking about dementia-friendly communities. I prefer the term dementia-friendly society, which is why I like this particular conference title. So let's start to just move along a little bit. Think about layers to the onion. I could make this as complicated or as simple as I liked, really, in terms of the layers that we could be working through when we're thinking about what a dementia-friendly society is. But I think there's three core layers. There is the individual. I think it's really important that the person with dementia is placed right at the centre. I think it's really important that we do start to look at different communities' experiences of dementia and how different communities respond to it. But if we really want to have a dementia-friendly society, we need to move beyond the individual and multiple small communities, or all we get is, again, piecemeal practice. We have piecemeal practice in relation to how individuals experience dementia and services, and we could still have piecemeal practice in terms of what people experience within their own particular communities. And I guess what my aspiration for us all is to have a big society where we have a dementia-friendly vision and experience for everyone. We've come a long way. In the UK, there's been lots of different policies that have been around now since 2009, I guess, is the first influential policy where we got to, the English National Dementia Strategy. And then we moved on so that we've had implementation plans, and we've also had the Dementia Action Alliance, and then last year we got the Prime Minister's Dementia Challenge. But the thing I find quite interesting, to go back to one of the very first presentations where we had Angelina from the Scottish Government. It was Angelina, wasn't it? Yeah. And she because I'm Scottish, but I now live and work in England, I do find it interesting that the English National Dementia Strategy came out before the Scottish National Dementia Strategy, but we never had the targets in England that they had in Scotland. So the diagnostic rate improved very quickly in Scotland, and the same thing hasn't happened in England. And of course, England's a bigger country, it's more complex, but at the same time, why do we still have an average rate of diagnosis that's about 20% lower than Scotland on average? So I think there's something to be said that it's really good that we have all these policies, and it creates a context, it creates the drive to allow us to change and move things along. But in and of itself, it's not enough. We need to be doing more within communities and as individuals to try and change things. So the policies are good, but they're obviously not a panacea for everything. The Prime Minister's challenge, everybody was quite excited about, I think, in England, when we actually had a Prime Minister for the very first time, no matter what our political persuasions were, who decided that dementia was something that we should all be taking account of. And I think it's notable that we're now going to have this G8 summit at the end of this year in the UK for the first time, focusing on dementia. So again, policy helps. Having people there, key people who influence things, who can create the context, allows us to start to try and do different things. So I think at this point in time, we've got a moment in time where we can start to change things, we can start to make a difference and start to move things towards this, I guess, utopian ideal of dementia-friendly societies. The kind of term dementia-friendly first started really being spoken about in relation to physical environments, from my reading of the literature. And we now know there's lots of things we can do that would make environments more dementia-friendly. I do find it interesting that much of the advice and the guidelines are based largely on anecdote, largely on what professionals think are best for people with dementia. And there's been very limited research that really looks at the point of view of people with dementia in terms of what they think is a dementia-friendly environment. So, for example, some research that we undertook looking at the physical environment, the research would have suggested that en-suites, for example, were really, really important, and you should have the colour contrast with the floor, the wall, the toilet seat, the cistern, all of those kind of things. But the people with dementia that we spoke to, they weren't actually really bothered about en-suites at all. What was important to them was that they could get outside and that there was dementia-friendly external space that they could access, they could get out to, that they could there was things that they could do inside and outside, that there was they could see young people, children playing, things that are actually, I guess, typical of what we would do in a day-to-day life. If we were having like a friendly society, an integrated society, we would go outside, we would see other people. So it's not just about the physical features in the building. I'm not saying they're not important, but it's actually how these things enable us to live our lives. Okay, I really like this this final part of the quote here, where it talks about. Can't hear me now. Can you hear me now? No, I can't read that. I need glasses. I like the part where it actually says that our ambition is to support wider society to make the change to enable people who have dementia to be able to confidently go about their daily life safely and free from stigma. So again, this is the dementia-friendly community agenda, but it's talking about dementia-friendly society. So dementia-friendly communities, I guess, are a step towards becoming a dementia-friendly society. And it's about people living well. It's getting rid of the stigma. We've heard the word stigma repeated often in the last couple of days, and how important it is to try and eliminate stigma, tackle stigma, get people talking, be much more open, and I think that's key. So in the UK, there's been lots of work being done to look at how we can make our communities more dementia-friendly. There's been work done in supermarkets, there's been done work in banks, there's ongoing work in banks and financial institutions, how they can be more dementia-friendly. There's been work with the police, there's been work with the fire service. There's lots of examples of communities starting to work together to try and become more dementia-friendly. And there was, off the back of the Prime Minister's Dementia Challenge, there was a whole load of funding made available in the UK. I'm not talking millions for big, huge projects, but for small community-based projects. So we've got one on the go in Dorset at the moment. It's a 10 interagency partnership project. We're evaluating it. And they're trying to create dementia-friendly neighbourhoods, or we're trying to create dementia-friendly neighbourhoods across Dorset. Now, even just in one fairly small region, that poses significant challenges because every community is really, really different. And I think we're learning as we go to a certain extent about how we engage people, how we manage to find out what people want, how we can actually get businesses to really think, well, what is dementia-friendly? One of the first projects that I undertook when I moved to Bournemouth was a project about dementia-friendly tourism, because it struck me that where I was living was a tourist location. But then how do we really know if we've got a dementia-friendly tourism location? We hear about hotels claiming to be dementia-friendly. How do we really know they are dementia-friendly? What are the criteria? How do we measure it? So I think we've got lots of aspirations at the moment, but I still don't think we really know how we will know when we've actually got these things, because I think a lot of the talk at the moment is about aspiring to ideas, but how do we know when we'll actually have got there, I think is a challenge that remains. Another nice initiative in the UK is the Dementia Friends initiative. We're going to have 1 million dementia friends in the UK, and we've started that process in our university because it shouldn't just be out in the community that we are trying to be more dementia friendly. We ran our first training course in the university to try and create our own dementia friends. And there's loads and loads of people who've signed up for this, and I think it's a great initiative. All you really need to do is attend a half an hour to an hour session, and it's basic dementia awareness kind of sessions so that people start to become aware of what dementia is, and the idea is that they can then try and go out into the community in the ways that use their skills to try and help people. So we're just being more dementia friendly. So it's quite a nice initiative. And then there's a further level up where you can become a dementia champion, which allows you to then train other people to become dementia friends. So basically it's a bit of a snowball approach. So there's lots of things I think we need to be able to do to become more dementia friendly. And the first key thing I think is we need to really engage with people with dementia and do this in quite creative ways. I would hope at some point in time we don't need to be more creative and think out of the box. It should just be normal that we will engage people, but at the moment it's not. So this is just an example of something that we did in Bournemouth. That you might have seen the art exhibition out in the kind of reception area, where we asked people with dementia what their experiences living with dementia were, and we asked the general public what they thought dementia was, and then we put it up as an exhibition and asked the people who were viewing the exhibition to comment to see what they thought of the stories. So I've just put up some of my favourite stories that you might be able to read as I'm talking here. But the key thing is this is a more creative way to try and involve people. It's a creative way to try and give people a voice, and people who might not normally have a voice, because we were literally out in the streets in different community venues. We were in shopping centres, we were sports centres, we were outside restaurants. We were all over the place asking people what they thought. So we were just trying to get pretty... It's not systematic at all. We were just trying to get whoever was out there in these places where everybody goes, typical societal venues, to tell us what they thought. I think another really important concept in relation to dementia-friendly societies is what I've been calling normalcy, and then I changed it to normalisation, because I think often we think we need to do something really special or different with people with dementia. And if we have a really truly dementia-friendly society, we shouldn't be having to do something that's so different, because society should be set up that people with dementia are included, there isn't stigma there. And how do we manage to involve people? How do we get connect people? So this is an example of a project that we've been again running in Bournemouth, where it's a maritime archaeology project, and people thought we were a bit wacky when we said we were working with a maritime archaeologist to try and take maritime archaeology out to people with dementia. People did really look at us as if we were a bit stupid. Why on earth would you even think to do that? And this was a really, really fun project. My colleague Claire spoke about it during the conference. And it just shows that even if something that these people had not engaged with maritime archaeology before, but they were able to go through the process of a dig, they were able to enjoy it, they were able to think ahead to the following week. And this was something they hadn't done before. So this isn't about going back to what the individual liked before their previous life history. This was given a new experience, new skills. There's lots of things that we can do that are creative and that they're fun and promote a sense of involvement. These are pretty standard. I don't think we've been particularly creative in the work that we've done in Bournemouth here. We ran a cupcake club, and loads of different activities that we had just to engage people. These were people living in a specially built assisted living facility. And although there was fantastic facilities in this building, pretty well staffed, there was very, very little going on. The staff assumed because these people had dementia that they wouldn't maybe want to bake anymore, and they maybe wouldn't want to do these kind of things. That, well, why would we have those assumptions? So our funder for that project wanted us to go in and challenge and just put on a range of activities and just see what would happen. Another thing is we can use technology to create fun and engagement too. So it's not technology in the sense of trying to substitute for skills that people have lost or problems that they're having in activities of daily living. It purely is for fun and to have new learning. And again, this was something when I threw it out as a potential idea, people thought, what, you're going to teach people with dementia to use the iPad and the Wii? Why would you do that? Why would they want to do that? And actually, there's lots of people who are doing it now, so other people have had the same idea. But the people with dementia in our group, they learned how to use these things. They went out and bought these things, whatever their favourite bit of technology was. They bought that, and then they've taught their grandchildren and their family members how to play some of these games. So it's a way to promote intergenerational activity. It's a way for carers to get involved and for people to do some fun stuff. I think to get to a dementia-friendly society, it's really, really important that we do listen to stakeholders. So we've been doing a range of things, nothing particularly special or unique, but we've really started off wanting to try and find out what people with dementia want. We've wanted to find out what carers want. We've wanted to find out what professionals want in our region. And so we've held various events to try and bring people together and find out what are the issues for them? What are the ongoing issues? Despite the fact that we have these lots of lovely strategic documents in the UK and lots of policy documents, the reality is that not everyone is experiencing a dementia-friendly community. So what can we do? What are the obstacles to overcome? And there's different ways to collaborate and integrate work. There's an Australian document that came out which actually talks about dementia-friendly societies as the way forward. And it's a very nice document if anyone hasn't read it. And that talks much more about how we have to move on from just dementia-friendly communities and person-centred care and how we can actually create a dementia-friendly society. And there's lots of guidelines now that you could do a Google search and you can pick out documents that tell you how to become a dementia-friendly community, and there's things that you can check to see if you're doing. There's guidelines for being a dementia-friendly environment, and there's a checklist that you can find about what you should be doing. But how do we actually move forward from some of these individually focused activities to community-based focus, community-focused base for activities to actually have a bigger societal agenda? So I just want to leave you with one last message, given that we're at the end of the conference, and this is a phrase that I think we've heard lots of people say throughout the conference, but I think this really is how we should be taking things forward. Can you hit the music button for me?
We're all in this together. Once we know that we are, we're all stars, and we see that we're all in this together.
And that's my take-home message, that we are all in this together. Thank you.
I look at the Netherlands, there's also an initiative of getting dementia-friendly municipalities. Did you make a pan-European comparison of similar initiatives?
For this purpose, no, I was looking at what we've been doing in the UK, but there are parallels across Europe, across the world, where people are trying to create dementia-friendly communities, neighbourhoods. Age-friendly cities are a very good example that come from the World Health Organization, and then people have adapted that and developed that for dementia-friendly cities as well as dementia-friendly communities. So yeah, without a doubt, it's a worldwide conceptual movement at the moment, I would guess.
I'd like to ask Professor Innes another question. My more immediate concern would be dementia-friendly services, especially hospital services, but because my experience of prejudice and misconceptions about dementia and condescending, patronizing attitudes often starts with medical and nursing staff who are not used to dealing with people with cognitive impairment. And that is a very hard nut to crack, because people do not welcome people with dementia in their services, and often people are badly treated. So although hospitals are part of a community, I think that's where I think the discrepancy between what people want and what services or other people offer comes to the most awful car crash.
I don't disagree with you, and there are examples in the UK of initiatives to make hospitals more dementia-friendly, both in terms of what staff do and in the physical environment. In Southampton, for example, they've created a nice dementia-friendly ward. In Malta, they're trying to make hospitals more dementia-friendly too. That's one of the projects that I've been working on with colleagues here. So I think hospitals are part of our society, and this is where we go when we need various kinds of help, not just because we have dementia, but we might have dementia alongside something. So I completely agree with you, but I think probably the hospital is more a symptom of being of society not being dementia friendly rather than it just coming from the hospital. You know,